School is now in session.
Line up, kids.
Line up against the wall, kids, and get in line because you are now listening to the DweeBros podcast.
Travis, you jumped a little bit while I blew that whistle.
I actually had no idea that was going to happen.
Yeah, it was one of those like off the cup script moments.
And we are here, the entire trio, the amigos, the three stooges. What else is a good
The Three Musketeers.
Not like that.
The Three Musketeers.
The Three Blind Mice.
Back-to-back months.
There's always like three, groups or, What's your favorite group of three?
Ooh.
TLC.
Oh, that's a tough, in general, like your favorite group of three, like all time, has to be the Mass Effects.
The Three
Well,
Mass Effects.
I was talking about I guess that would work.
That's a group of three, right?
If you're tying it back into games.
The
I was saying
Three
like
Mass
a
Effects,
group
yeah.
of amigos.
There's also the Miami Heat group of three. That was Chris
wait.
Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James.
What about is it the Dream Team from Chicago Bulls? Is that what they called them?
Is that what? I don't think they called that a big three. And the Dream Team was referring to the American team.
What did they call them?
You're talking about. I mean, it was Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. If you call it those
that's
three.
my favorite three after watching that documentary I talked about.
They're a great three. My favorite one is like Dennis Rodman asked to leave, and Phil Jackson's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And Michael Jordan sat there and said, "He ain't come back." And he's like,
I
"We
think
talking
that
about?" He's like,
because I think they
back.
were all so different, but they needed each other.
Oh, they did. That's what they talked about
I
in the
think that's
documentary.
my favorite three of all time. Of
It's
all
a good
time.
three. It's a really good three.
But
I was gonna say, who's my favorite three?
us,
No, Tom Brady,
okay,
Gronk, and
Okay.
Aaron Hernandez.
Gronk.
Those three were legendary together.
Gronk.
They did great things together. Some would go far, and some wouldn't go at all.
Wow.
Some went too far. I could say.
Don't say too far. But
My favorite three. That's really hard. It's very difficult.
keep thinking the whole podcast and let
I'll
us
keep
know.
chewing on it.
Yeah, and then at the very end, you tell us your favorite three.
Okay. I got this.
But thank you for joining us. We are the DweeBros. If you're just first time listening, I am Zach. I'm joined to my left by Travis.
Howdy.
I'm joined by my right, the school principal, the podcast principal, Jacob.
What's going on?
And tonight we are going to export our thoughts onto the screen of the media and news that happened this month. I first want to jump into something that didn't happen. Amazon was going to buy EA.
So I heard this was fake,
There-
but go ahead.
Well, I had heard that there was bids maybe going out. Apple said they were not going to bid on it, so there was something happening, but it didn't happen. But EA, I guess, was looking to be bought.
So
I don't know if you guys had read more on that.
I
than
have,
I did,
and I want to refer to about 5 or 6 months ago. I talked about there's this giant sense of tech industry rushing. It was back when what was secured, not Bungie, but Activision.
Yeah.
When Activision got secured, it created a sense of like we need to secure properties for our tech giants. Amazon
for streaming services and stuff.
Amazon,
Everybody wants that.
Facebook, they want to be considered tech companies. So they were making plays. That's why you've seen Facebook and their streaming service take off so big. And they're trying to sign people to their platform for streaming services. One of the things I did say that was a hypothetical was people have floated around that Amazon was making a play for EA.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't the only one, but they were making a play. So recently, I think it was 2 days ago. So we're filming this on the end of the month. And
Yeah.
around the last week of Monday of the end of the month of September, Amazon reportedly put a bid out for EA, but it was shut down. EA came out and said that that wasn't the case at all, if I remember correctly.
They said they weren't.
Yeah, they didn't say they said there was no bid in play. Now you know how this is. That
Yeah.
normally isn't the case. It's kind of just stay face.
Yeah.
But-
I think it's some of that because I just saw there's too many people report. Something happened.
Yeah.
Something happened,
When
I
there's
think.
smoke, there's fire.
When there's smoke, there's fire.
And my thought is if there's a rumor of an acquisition, the only way you get two companies in the room is if one's trying to buy or one's trying to sell.
Yeah.
And so either Amazon's out there trying to make a big acquisition, an EA, a Ubisoft, something like that, which makes sense because they got their streaming service up. But what's interesting to me is not that Amazon was talking to EA; it's that EA was talking to more than one buyer. Because that to me indicates they were looking to sell.
EA had a
not
record
that Amazon is talking to 5 different companies, but that EA is talking to multiple companies.
They had a record
Yeah.
record profit year last year.
Well, and there's another element to this, right? So EA has pushed about as far as you can push as a third-party publisher. You know, like where is the margin gain? Where's the next big ascent, right? And I don't know that it's coming because they're at an all-time, and you always wonder how much lower can it go in terms of love and appreciation from their customers. Like they have real issues. They're like the number one. They're voted like the number one worst company in the world like multiple times in the last 10 years. And the government's starting to crack down on some of their like Madden Ultimate Team, FIFA card, like gambling type stuff. So they are probably looking to cash out. Would be my assumption because the more regulation comes down, the less they're going to be able to get away with murder in terms of some of the.
That's the only way you can keep
microtransactions.
growing is you start doing crazy stuff like the loot box stuff. They have to rely on that.
I think they pressed the crazy button 5 years ago, and like they've gotten all they can get out of the crazy ATM of unregulated video game gambling.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
and the writing's kind of on the wall. Like you're seeing all these companies do get bought out, and they kind of are protected because you have like Nintendo hasn't really bought. They bought some, but like Sony and Xbox are just scrambling and chomping all this stuff up. It's like, well, we want to have something, you know.
I'm surprised
we want to
EA
join some team
hasn't-
before we're not the last ones, you know, joining in.
I'm surprised EA hasn't been acquired yet. I was
But
expecting
they are
it to
the
happen
biggest
sooner.
one, so it's like I understand maybe they feel like they wouldn't have to, but maybe some new talk. They
EA
got to be talking about it now to
EA
have
is
all
the
those
first
rumors.
domino of what if they go.
Then everybody
You'll
goes.
see everyone start going.
Everybody goes.
Ubisoft, 2K,
if EA goes.
all of these other publishers that are just a bracket under EA.
Yeah,
because
And
I would say this-
Activision was ungodly big.
Yeah,
and
EA
that
is
was
the other
shocking.
one that I'm like I hold
Is
to a
EA
high
larger than Activision in terms of
in terms of revenue. Yes,
I would.
Are they?
I would feel like
they
they'd have to.
EA did the most revenue in a gaming company last year.
okay. I believe you. I
Yeah.
just wasn't.
Yeah.
That
It's-
makes sense.
And it's all because of FIFA and Madden.
Yeah.
They were both live service, like you
Well,
said,
and
platforms.
It's also, it's
And Apex was third.
It's those properties, but specifically within those properties, the Ultimate
Correct.
Team stuff.
Correct. So that's why I was like, once EA goes, your Ubisoft, your 2K, your other publishers that are just a bracket under EA will go as well. People will, because it's selling season then. You have to sell. The prices are going to be high.
No, it's been selling season. That's the big white whale.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the one that like. To your point, if EA goes, nobody else can really hang out there on their own.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's where
Yeah.
it just becomes interesting things to who goes where. You know, and what does that make the market? So like Sony, who
I'm surprised Ubisoft is holding on. Like
They were the ones-
Who do you think's going to be last
The-
picked on the dodgeball team?
Well,
It might
I
be-
think it's funny. Ubisoft was the one that was rumored to be acquired forever.
ever
Yes.
before it became cool to become acquired.
They're like the bridesmaid, like they're always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
They can never catch the bouquet.
I mean, if you say who's going to be last, right? I could see it being Ubisoft, especially because like their big franchises are kind of in a weird spot. Like Assassin's Creed's in a weird place.
weird spot.
Beyond Good and Evil,
Beyond Good
which
and
I
Evil,
saw
weird. Well,
more
that's,
news
yeah.
about that, and I said it's over, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
put it to bed. Like,
I think the issue with
What are we doing?
Ubisoft is I would almost say Ubisoft is like a tier below like 2K, Square Enix.
I
like-
agree
Yeah.
with that.
That's-
Well, I don't agree with Square Enix. I do agree with.
I just like in terms of like
yeah.
quality of IPs.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I
So,
thought
like-
you meant in terms of like size and revenue.
No, in size they might have size. I don't know what the revenue is. What games do they have? that
Assassin's
produces-
Creed has sold one Assassin's Creed game sells 5 times what
Yeah.
any Final Fantasy game sells.
Okay, and that could be the case. I would have to look at the numbers. I would just say like they would be one of the ones I'd be like, oh, they go, oh wow, that's kind of shocking. But no, I honestly, Amazon getting them, that's when it's like, oh crud. Well, it all comes down to the final ones, you know, because the other rumor that was coming around was 2K was flirting with Google at one point because Google was trying to push Stadia, and they thought if they could get 2K platforms, not only with 2K the EA exclusive rights ending in the next year, but 2K also flirted with the fact that they're going to try to release baseball games again. 2K was floating around that they were going to get acquired here soon. So that would have been interesting because 2K makes the NBA franchise. You have Borderlands. They have other things they do.
2K make Rockstar is under 2K.
That's what I mean.
That's like a big get.
It's
for
a big
whoever can get Rockstar.
And that's where I was like, these tech companies are really making. Microsoft is digging their heels at acquiring assets, and now Sony is like, oh crap, this is now bigger than Sony.
Okay.
So I just want to just make sure we're on the same page. It's going to be one of those things where you'll see EA fall, and then you'll see, all right, now it's a race to the top.
Yeah.
The race is 100% between Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, and Sony is in fourth place. And Nintendo's off on their own little island.
Yeah. And kind of to tie it in with what's going on in my freaking life right now with my house and getting all my collections coming out of boxes. I've had it up for like a freaking year. We were redoing our basement. But I was looking at today like my PS5 collection. So I have a physical PS5 collection, and it's not really that big. But all this, like, I was thinking today about, like, man, the PS6 and this stuff, like, it's all digital, right? Like, that has to be, like, and when we're talking about acquisitions, when you have all this under Sony or all this under Xbox, and they have Game Pass or they have PlayStation Plus Premium or whatever, I don't see them doing physical next gen at all. Like, because it's going to be probably 6-7 years from now, on top of where the internet's going to be, and spreading even more out to more rural places. I was like, yeah, I just don't see them, and especially if they have these big things, it's like, we'll pump this to you on day one, you know what I mean, from our streaming service or from our whatever, and it's
let me throw out one other curveball, and I think there's a PS6, but that
PS6
box,
confirmed.
That box, there's a PS5 over there. That thing's expensive.
Yeah.
You know what they had to do? They just had to raise the price of the PS5 in a lot of territories. They're having to refactor how they manufacture the thing to keep up. And like,
they keep changing. They're tweaking little parts of it.
The more that the constraints on the supply chain, like if that stuff doesn't get sorted out, like I could see Sony saying 10 years from now, we need a 10-year strategy to get out of making hardware.
Yeah.
Because this sucks. And like they're embracing of PC, like that's a seed planted. It doesn't mean that they're going to go PC only, but like 20 years from now, I think there's a reality where there's a PlayStation service
for your.
You want hardware? Go build your own hardware. Otherwise, you're streaming.
Yeah.
Sorry, like that's how this will go.
Yeah,
digital delivery is the most convenient thing. Of this decade.
Yeah,
and I know this decade just started. But having the ability to go above and beyond to receive what you want and an instant means is what this decade's going to live and die by. And drone delivery, a click of a button, those type of things. These things are going to skyrocket this decade.
I even saw, and this is another thing that's swirling in my head right now, that T-Mobile teamed up with SpaceX. I don't know if you guys had seen this story. They teamed up, and you can text from anywhere in the world now. Because they linked, it's only texting. It's not like calling right now.
That's still a big deal.
But you can do any texting anywhere in the world because the Starlink is this big friggin' satellite thing in the sky, and it will just it's basically like kind of a like a GPS ping thing or whatever off this thing.
Wow.
So thinking about that and like how we're even more ultra connected and all that stuff, like you can be out in these
the
boonies and still get service.
I love your idea, Travis, that you talked about because I do think that's true. I think Sony as a business is looking way farther than what we can understand.
And and they have great properties and they have these amazing, incredible studios. It's like you'll come along for the ride for our PS Plus service anywhere or stream or whatever. It's like, if you have the new Naughty Dog game, I'm there day one and I'll be there for whatever. So if like that's under the umbrella and you're saying, hey, it's digital only, I'll pout and I'll scream, but I'll be sitting here with a frown on my face downloading it. I'm going to be playing it.
More and more people have computers nowadays. More and more people have boxes that can run games at high levels. The era of having a console war is coming to an end.
Well, I think it's kind of heating up between like if their acquisitions are going on and you get this only on PlayStation Plus or this on Xbox. And I do know that there's also talks of like some third party stuff and they don't want like there's going to be maybe Xbox properties on a Sony service too.
Become more of a service war.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a service war and stuff. So
that's where I agree with Travis. The hardware doesn't matter at that point. It's how you deliver it now.
Dude, Xbox, PlayStation Studios, they make their games for PC.
And you want to know why it's true, even more true? Because I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Xbone, I forget what they called it, but it was the Sony controller that just came out for your phone. And
Yes.
snap in your
Oh,
phone,
I know what
and
you're
it's
talking
built
about.
Just like a PS5
It is called
control-
something
It's
Bone.
called Bone something.
Yeah, it is.
But it's
He's
built
right.
like a PS5
I thought you were saying
controller
X-Bone,
that you
like
snap in your
Xbox
phone,
One.
and it could charge your phone while you're playing, and it
Whoa.
could play games, Xbox and
Yeah.
Sony games.
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, and it's made for your phone.
Who made it?
So what it
And
is,
PlayStation did.
I looked into
Sony.
it. They partnered with
Whoa.
that is an existing thing. I
Correct.
looked into, but they partnered and made their own color scheme to look like the PlayStation, and it looks like a DualSense controller. And you
Interesting.
plug it, your iPhone or whatever plugs in, you can play all your like remote play stuff
Yeah,
from
it-
that.
it
And
like-
and they advertised that. Sony did and showed
Yes.
it. And I saw people on Facebook that are very like mainstream, like people that kind of play games, and they were like, "Did anybody see this? This looks
It
really
got
cool."
my-
And I was
hey,
like, "Wow, like you
It
guys
got my
just, like
attention
people."
because I have a Game Pass subscription, and I'm like, the only way I'd want to use this if I could play it on the go. And
Yeah.
I sat there, I was like, you got me. I'm
Yeah.
interested now because this screen is decent size,
I think
Yeah.
it's
and I
yeah.
can play some games on this.
Yeah.
And if I can have a controller that is not some rinky dinky little piece of junk, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm 100% in. So I'm with you, Travis. I agree with everything you're saying.
The
It's
future,
the
man.
direction, the speed at which we get there.
Yeah.
We'll see. But
The future. And speaking of the future, the PlayStation VR 2. Thought it was going to be this year.
Nah.
I thought Santa was going to come down my chimney and say, "Ho ho ho. What are you wearing, Santa? You knucklehead, what's on your head?" But Santa's not going to
Not
have
quite.
anything on. Well, he's going to have pants and a coat on, you creep. But he's not going to have a VR helmet. It's not happening this year. It's coming out 2023. The PSVR 2, but
I'm not against it. The VR market's very steady right now. I mean, the people who want the PSVR 2, they're willing to wait. They're not clamoring.
I think
at
we're
it.
getting a PSVR 2 and a new Switch next year. I think supply stuff. I think finally the boats are coming up above water. Weren't they sinking or
Alright,
something?
all right, I got one for you.
Okay.
Is the PSVR 2
Yeah.
more like when Sony did the PS2? The start of something great, PSVR 3, 4, 5, or is it more like the Vita? The second time they take a swing and then they're going to give up.
I think the PSVR 1 had to have worked out pretty well for them to make a second because with the Vita it was like totally dead. You know what I mean? Like it was donezo.
Well, but the PSP went pretty well and then they made the Vita.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm asking,
But
is the PSVR 2 going to be more like the PS2 where yet we're on to something or more like
I think for
the
them to
Vita?
do it again and the cost that's involved and whatever, I think it'll take off. I don't know. Like I think they've made some amazing
I'm a
games.
little
and-
hesitant because I do think you're already in a niche market in the VR world, and you're even more niche because you're only tied to your box.
But there's a lot of boxes they sold. And the same thing with PS4. Like they
PS5
sold
is not readily still available to people.
That's true.
Yeah. They released the PSVR.
I think that's why they're waiting
deep
till
into the
2023.
PS.
But I will say in the past, I want to say 2 or 3 months, I have finally seen like on Twitter, people are like, you can start to just go to websites and get the PS5. Whereas before it was like wait in this queue, you might get it, you might not. Like
Well,
I've
I
seen
did
seen
just
more
wait in
people
the queue
actually
for
get
35 minutes to get one.
Have
I
you-
did.
Did you?
But I had to wait in a queue for Sony.
You got
Have
one?
either of you
got
ever
one.
seen a PS5 at a store?
No, they don't do. They haven't
I
done
will.
it.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I never. This is actually really funny. I never go to stores, and I had the crazy. I have some funny stories about going out to a store the other day, but I just never go anymore. I get everything from Amazon or just order online. I hate stores. I hate how big they are. I hate like just the mess of people you got to get into. I hate it. But I did go, and I was like, what does the gaming section look like now? It's like I've been locked away in a chamber for all these years. What's it look like? Still no PlayStation 5s. Xbox Series, whatever, all over the place. They were
Yes.
stacked to the brim. You could get those. But the PS5 they had a section for it, and it was empty.
You could get a Series S pretty easily.
Yeah, I could have got
Now
one
the
that day. It
Series
was
X, you
Target,
kind of have to
whatever.
do a little digging to find one,
Yeah.
but you can get a Series S just like that.
Yeah.
So, do we have sales figures for Series versus PS5?
I can look those up.
Look
real
'em
quick.
up.
Give me a
I'm just
second.
curious what they're. I know maybe there's some discrepancy because of the volume and stuff.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that up, Jamie. But going out into It'd been so long. I went to Walmart, which is one of my least favorite places to be. And I dropped my wife off. And when I dropped her off, because it was starting to rain, dropped her off. And you know how there's those big barriers? If I might send you the picture to put in the podcast. You know those barriers that are in front of, like, to keep cars from wrecking in and just causing carnage to the front of a store? When we pulled up and I let her out, this Jeep was like backing up, going forward, back, and I was like, what is it doing? And it was maneuvering itself to go in between those poles. And it got in between it and then got right. They were in front of the exit. Like, when they got out,
what were they doing?
They didn't want to, they wanted, instead of what I was doing where I could come, like, let her out, they were wanting to get that close to bring their groceries. They were, like, bringing their groceries in and loading them. Like, in the exit, like, the closest you could be to that door, they were at it. Like, they were, like, probably 5 foot of distance between
Interesting. So I have your update.
But if I find I took a picture. When I was letting her out, I took a picture because I was like, I have not been out to a store, and this is the people
Why
that
do
are.
people think like that they can just
It's
okay.
It's crazy the stuff you'll see.
Jacob, you got a sales.
So
update?
I do have a sales update.
Our
which
sales
is
update.
Honestly, this is as of June.
Can you blow the sales update whistle?
Sales update as of June. The PlayStation 5 is currently outselling both Xbox Series X and S as of June, but there's some interesting notes to take.
Okay.
So right now, the PlayStation 5 sales totals at 7.6 million, while the Xbox Series X and S is at 7.2 million.
Pretty close.
Pretty close, not bad at all. But there's some things to note, which is really interesting because this tells us a lot about trends. In the last 12 months, the Xbox Series X has actually outsold the PlayStation 5 by over 406,000 units. Even though the PlayStation 5 is currently holding its lead steady at 471,000. Now, what's a note here is that the PlayStation 5 is currently over 587,000 units behind its current launch curve, what the PlayStation 4 set when it first launched. So that means it's currently, if you had to compare it to PlayStation 4 numbers, it's over 500,000 behind, a little bit more than half. And while the Xbox Series X is 500,000 over what the Xbox One was selling.
2 observations on that. I think they would be selling like hotcakes if they could only figure out the supply issues.
I agree.
And I think that's why they're tweaking. Like, you can see, like, they made it like 0.3 ounces lighter, or I don't know. I just saw an article the other day. It's like, they made it a little bit lighter. They changed some internal stuff. It like runs a little quieter or whatever. But they're trying to cut down every couple pennies they can save or make it easier to ship. I think they're just having trouble getting the materials or whatever. They would be selling, so that has to like hurt because it's like they would be selling so much more and the demand is
there. It was like
there.
the issue when the Dreamcast first launched too. They were trying to get as many Dreamcasts out there, but there was chip shortages, and the same thing happened with the Nintendo. There's always supply chain industry issues.
Yeah. My second observation, real quick. When you said the Xbox Series or whatever selling way more than the Xbox, I think it's just a more popular console than the Xbox One. like when you were saying. They really outsold the Xbox One at the same time.
You use that data because that data tells you whether your product is still interesting.
Yeah. Which is good to know. They are definitely doing better than.
I'm just kind of. I would have thought the PS5 would be further behind based on how hard it is to get.
Yeah.
I'm actually intrigued that it's only 460,000 behind. That's just because that's a drop in the bucket compared to 120 million lifetime sales.
I agree.
Like, so the fact that it's actually not that far behind is actually surprising to me.
Yeah. I think it's this not this year, but 2023, that's the year where the sales numbers are really going to matter. We'll be, is that year 3 in or year 2?
It's the
third year.
It's the second full year, the third calendar year.
Yeah.
And I would agree because I think a lot of people aren't like us. Like, they don't go out year one. They wait around. Like, even when the PS4 came out, I didn't even think about buying it. Same. Right?
I was lined up at Best Buy.
Yeah, it wasn't until I met
we're crazies.
You goofs that I started buying all this crap
day one.
But like, I remember like year 3 of PS4, I was like, okay, do I want an Xbox? Do I want a PS4? I definitely want a PS4. Okay, I'm going to do this. So when people get to that point, if it's still hard to get a PS5, I think a lot of people are going to defect.
Yeah, they're just
I
going to
think
get.
they're going to throw in the towel and say, I'll just get the Xbox.
Because if you honestly think about when I went to Target and I walked in and there was no PlayStation, but there was a ton of Xbox. Like, well, I want to play games.
Yeah.
I'll just grab that. You know what I mean? Whatever's easy, whatever is accessible.
You still also have the difference between the cross-gen. A lot of people who are still producing games are making these games PS4
That's
and
true.
PS5, Xbox
true.
One and Xbox Series X. So
Because of how hard it is to
there
get
will
some
be
of
a
the
flip
stuff.
that's switched next year. Once that flip gets switched, Travis, you're right.
Yeah.
It depends on who has the most units installed.
Yeah. This holiday is going to be really interesting, too, because it's kind of the kickoff of the next year.
I wonder if, it's interesting. I will say, guys, as the months go on, as the podcasts go on, there'll probably be more to talk about when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Because it will get juicy. And you're right, I didn't expect it to be as close, honestly. I thought the Xbox would be winning. I really did.
Yeah, I thought that they might be at this point, but
What's Nintendo doing? Have you guys heard anything about Nintendo?
Here's what's funny to kind of come back to what we were talking about of like acquisitions and streaming services. Moving all the crap around in my basement, I was laughing today because I picked up the Mario Kart Live, which was that little Mario Kart with the camera on it you can control, and it was a remote control that you race in VR, basically, or like through the screen in real life. This little thing,
Yeah, like AR.
and I had so much freaking fun. And now that we got like a finished basement, I'm gonna use that more. My dogs were chasing it, and it was so much freaking fun. For Christmas, we were playing with it. And it's such a toy, you know what I mean? And I was like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
And I love that. And they did the Labo thing. I didn't get that. But like these wackadoo things, they really are toy-centric and very...
they're a toy company.
Yeah, they're super into just weird stuff for kids and stuff. And like, I was playing with that and I was picking up and was like, what a weird thing. Like, this is a Nintendo Switch accessory, basically. And I was like, what the frick is
100%
this?
a toy company.
So yeah, they are totally on their own category that they're playing in. But... very fun. But we'll
I feel
see.
like Nintendo has more in common with Lego than they do with Sony.
Probably.
They made Lego Mario sets.
Yeah.
I will
which are
say the
really cool.
Switch, because of that handheld console thing, you've seen 8 billion different ports this gen of all these different games. Like, this is coming to Switch, this is coming to Switch. And it became really, like, quickly something people were like, well, I could get this on my PlayStation 5 and download it, or I can have this on the go.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they're doing that bone thing or whatever
And
else. It's
I'm
like,
gonna be
oh,
honest with
shoot,
you.
we want to play this portable.
PlayStation missed the mark because now I can get a Steam Deck. I can get a number of PC handhelds.
Yeah, we got the Steam Deck, too.
which run the same stinging games and other games, run them better and for better battery. And I'm paying an extra $100. Shoot, screw the Switch, man. The Switch ain't worth it.
Yeah.
It's not.
I will say the Switch is definitely showing its age, and I think the Steam Deck was like, some people were like, yeah, I'll just emulate this stuff, or I'll just have I'll have Steam or Switch too.
I am
now.
like this close from pulling the trigger on it,
Yeah.
but part of me is just like, this would be a niche thing I don't need.
I would use it 3 times is
Yeah.
my problem.
The
with
best part about the Steam Deck
But
to
it is
me
cool.
is it would give me a better way to get through some of my Steam backlog and games I
Yep.
want to play.
And you travel more than us.
I do.
So
and when
you
I
would.
travel, well, I lost my Switch, I think, traveling. I don't know where my Switch is. It's missing if you see it. So,
Hey,
but
please.
like,
Keep a lookout.
being able to have my Steam library on the go,
Yeah.
that's enticing because there's just so many little games and that I have on there. I'd love to, play. So
Yeah.
I could.
It's just,
definitely justify
it's
it.
just, it's almost at this point not worth having a Switch. It's just not. If you are a game connoisseur,
I am waiting for the Switch 2 or something to make the frame rate better, because some of these games I wanted to check out, like that Hyrule Warriors game, is like kind of runs at 20
Not gonna
frames per
touch that.
second. And I was
Not
like,
gonna
I'll
touch
just
Breath of the
wait, I
Wild 2.
guess. Crap.
If Breath of the Wild 2
See, I'll
launches on
play Breath of the
vanilla
Wild
Switch-
even if it is
No,
20.
dude, I
I'll be
taste
there.
Breath of the Wild at 2K, 120 frames, and I'm like, they can do better.
Yeah.
they can
I
do
will
better.
say that did affect me.
Playing it on
Playing
PC,
that,
and I was sitting there like,
Wow.
this game is a master. This game is now okay. Like I'm able to live with this game being like in my.
Hey, Breath of the Wild now okay. Update.
Whenever I play the Switch, I just put my brain into where I had to put it to play The Last Guardian. Of like, I accept that there's 10 seconds of input lag. I accept because it's Nintendo.
I would accept that for one game like that. Like I said, Breath of the Wild, I'll be sitting there
Yeah.
with a frown on my face playing it. The Last Guardian is a funny example.
Yeah.
but not every single game. I'm starting to get a little annoyed by it showing its age, but I do believe that'll be next year. I think supply constraint stuff, because there was a lot of rumors. Same thing with this acquisition thing. Where it's like something was going on, and there was developers coming out. It's like they were working on something or whatever. So I think that is still happening. I think it just got delayed. They put the Switch OLED. They said, "Here's what we can do with our."
I think the supply chain stuff scared them away.
Yeah,
be.
and I don't blame them. I mean, if
I blame
I think they
Amiibos.
sell just as much as PS5, or they would sell it more. But like, okay, let's wait and hold that out to when the demand can meet it. Like, we can actually meet demand and sell this crap. So, yeah,
Who knows? Hopefully,
The
we'll
world.
find out. We'll find out
It's
more in the
crazy.
next 4 months. But yeah, I'll tell you right now. Even when I travel now, I'm like, I don't think I want to switch. I think I'm gonna buy the Xbox controller and just use that. Screw the Switch.
So what console are we gonna get this holiday? I was expecting to drop some money.
I think I'm gonna stick to my Oculus because Among Us VR would be out then, and I would just be playing that nonstop.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. The idea of screaming at 6-year-olds and gaslighting them sounds really fun.
there you go.
I don't know why, it just does. That sounds like my alley. Also, they're making an NFL game for it, so that will
Oh,
also
that'd be cool.
my
Nice.
game to be playing as
Nice.
well.
What have you guys been playing?
I'll go first. Almost nothing. Almost absolutely nothing. I have not been playing.
I've played
many
one
video
game,
games.
so I beat you by 100%.
I played a little bit of Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Okay.
So on my wife's Switch. So yes, my Switch was stolen, and
Yours was stolen.
it is a game that has Switch performance. Like, so it's funny you guys talking about this. Like, you like run through the desert and like everything just slows to a crawl in that game. But it's a fun, weird RPG where you're, a bunch of teenagers and you're fighting the devil or fighting God, and it's cool. It's
Just
like,
one of those Switch games that
Yeah.
you just fighting the
fight the devil. But yeah, that game's cool, and it's got the most nothing story. It's like almost no story. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of one, but it's mostly just making little demon Pokemon and fusing them together and stuff. I like it. It's fun. That's
Cool.
literally all I have to say.
I have played one game as well. Tomb Raider, still continuing it. That game is borderline a horror game. And here's why. If you play any game now, let's say Dead Space or any newer like horror game, Resident Evil, whatever. There are jump scares that happen in Resident Evil, of course, in Dead Space, whatever. Like something just unexpected happens. Imagine if those unexpected jumps happen the entire game. That is Tomb Raider. You'll go into a room and they'll be like, you can't see to the left or right because there was no camera. There's no camera control. So you actually have to like kind of like rotate her whole body to see what's over there. So you'll run into a room and like be looking at this, and then behind you, you'll see it first. The enemies are silent, and then they'll make a noise when you see them because you haven't turned enough or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll run into a room, I'll be playing late at night, and like a freaking tiger will be there, and I'll just turn and just see it. And then it'll make the noise after it already like popped up on the screen, and I am screaming playing this game. And what's funny is this game's always been scary because there's some stuff where it's like that used to be scary to me as a kid. Now the graphics have changed. Some of this stuff has aged. This is still scaring the crap out of me. They're not even trying to attempt to do that, I don't think, but just try to like, oh, there's something there. There's something whatever there. When I was a kid, me and my dad would play these games, and the most I've ever seen my dad scared, and I was scared as well. We played a level where you had to go down in the ship or something in Tomb Raider 2, and there's giant eel enemies. So you're in the water, and he just turns the screen, and there's like a pixelated weird eel right there, and he screamed and threw the controller,
Oh
and
my
I'm
gosh.
screaming, and just like, now I'm replaying, and I'm like, so now what I'm doing, I run into a room with my guns already shooting. I run
guns
in,
are
and I
blazing.
am shooting off the pistol. So
Maybe
like,
they need to recapture some of that for these.
yeah, I'm like legitimately scared because of the old graphics and the old systems it's not even like, I don't think intentional to be that scary, but
Wow.
really, really still liking this first one, and I might jump into the second one right after, but that was the one I really remember is the second one me and my dad played, but Maybe have my dad over for a hangout. We'll do it. We'll stream a hangout.
That's a good
I think
idea.
that- I think-
Father-son
I've
hangout.
Been on.
He's never been on, but I think that would be the one to have him
That'd be a good
on.
one. And Call of Duty would be a good one.
Yes, he would just watch from afar because we got so
He'd be
addicted
so
to it.
scared.
Oh yeah.
There was something on Twitter and I retweeted it the other day, but it said like, have we all had the shared experience where our dad got super obsessed with one game and then never played video games again?
Yes.
And there was tons of people in the thread like, yeah, my dad played this, blah, 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 whatever. My dad and me like fought over the home computer to play Call of Duty. And it wasn't until years later where it was like, and now even as an adult looking back, it's like, that was a big problem. He played an ungodly amount, but I was a little kid. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but for him to play as much, like anybody to play that much, like I include myself at that, but I was like, he did play so much. And then one day he quit. And I put this on Twitter. He learned the guitar. Like he took all that time he was going to do that. He learned the guitar, and then he never played any other video game ever again. And he always told me when we talked about that or it gets brought up at like family dinners, whatever. He's like, "Yeah, all that time I could have been learning to play an instrument or whatever." And so I quit. And it's just like they just get hyper obsessed with one thing, and then
That's really
I don't know what it is about
interesting.
dads. If you're a dad, let us know why you do that.
So I've been playing some games. And I said last month the gaming industry sucks right now. Not a lot of games out there that's fun to play, which I still stand by. So I embarked on a journey over the past month.
You get wacky with your game choices.
Well, it's just because like games suck. So I deleted a bunch of games on my PlayStation that I was playing regularly. I got a new monitor. I prepped myself because there's one game I'm looking forward to that's MW2. I'm gonna take a week off of work. I'm gonna grind the crap out of it, and I'm gonna act like I'm 12 again, and see if I fall in love. Probably won't. It's like a divorced dad going back to the person he divorced, thinking that there's still a spark. There isn't. Move on. But I'm gonna try. You know, why not try to restart that marriage? So I went on a rampage, like, let's just see what I can play. So, where do you go? Let's go through the Steam library. So I start going through the Steam library. There's nothing to play. I just instantly threw it out. 120 games, backlog. I don't want to play.
nothing you want to play.
Yeah. So then I'm like, I have a PlayStation subscription to all these free games.
Yeah.
So I start going through all these games. So me and my friend Michael, we were like, let's play Fall Guys. So we started playing Fall Guys. Great game. It's free to play. It tickles your fancy for like an hour, and then you get sick of hearing the same down, 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 down. I get sick of it. So I'm over it. Tried Death Stranding. I told you guys I was going to try to get into that
I'm
game.
very excited to hear your Death Stranding thoughts.
I'm about 5 hours in. It's pointless. It's a pointless game. The idea that, spoilers, you haven't played the freaking game. You are part of this family that's there to reunite America. Your mom, who was the president, passed away, and your sister got captured, and she's talking to you via holo something. And America needs you to deliver packages, Sam, and unite America. But Sam doesn't want to do it because all the babies are crying. And, so, but you know what? America needs you, Sam. So then you go out and you make your deliveries, but you can't go too far. Your baby will start crying. And if your baby starts crying, that means you're going to die. So you have to watch out where you go.
Yeah.
It's a dumb game. Sorry. It's just, there's no depth. There's no storytelling. There's a fat dude that pops up and tells you what your suits do. It's just, there's no purpose to it. So, try again. That's all I can say, Gojima.
Are you going to keep playing, or
I deleted it.
Okay.
So not worth my time. So I don't care.
Was there anything that you liked about it?
No.
Did you like the aspect of having to
The only thing I was
the-
like, okay, I gotta balance myself. But
Yeah,
then
you
after
gotta-
a while, I was like, who cares? Because I just sat there, I was like,
I love that. Like, I played probably 50 hours of that game, and you played it, and were like, "This is stupid."
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
It's just
because I
difference
can't
in
even fight you
taste.
on the points
I can't
because
disagree. Yeah.
because there is a lot of like what that is what it is. I mean, it is you're taking the packages. And
I mean,
stuff.
I'm glad you like it. It is. You're right. The exact phrase. It is what it is. I just don't want to sit there and press forward in the analog, RT, LT. Because you know what? My last go, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see what the curve is on this game, and I overloaded Sam. And I was like, I'm just going to try to take everything I can to some place. Because I just want to see, can I enjoy this game if I just try to speed run it? And as he walked so slow, and I was just sitting there constantly in RTLT, I was like, if this is the hardest the game gets, I don't want to play it. And that's why I gave up. So that was it. And that was I was like, I'm going to push my dude and see how hard it is.
Now, would your opinion change if you knew that
There was a bike.
the bike you
Don't
get?
care.
Okay.
The ladders, hey, I want you to know the ladders are stupid.
So,
But you get to-
something.
I was going to say
They
that
create human slingshots you can use to launch yourself over mountains.
Dude, that's cool. Why can't I not do it now?
well, you start alone, but as you start connecting America, that's what I was going to say, then you connect online and everybody so you could go up
Yeah.
to a mountain that's there and somebody could build that slingshot and make a message like, hey, you can use that.
Here's a slingshot for you.
Or here is a ladder to get over to the spot.
Yeah.
Or we built these rope systems where you can like sling to all these different
I
places.
saw
or
that,
whatever.
and I was like, this is cool.
So
Like, I
you're
circled back to the
joining with
same
America.
question. You're right. I circled back to the same question. Am I still delivering packages? Because if I am, I don't want to play.
If that is still
In
there.
fairness, you do logistics for a living. And
Yeah.
That's like logistics. Did any part of you like that element?
No,
Or,
I
like,
just sat there. I was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You're the guy that like spends your life like, what do you got to move? I'll move it for you. And then there's a game that's literally about that, and you're like, I hate this.
Yeah, dude, I get it. I understand. So then I was like, I'm moving on from this.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what I need? I need chaos. I need something that I can just get lost in the chaos.
Strangers of Paradise.
So I downloaded Battlefield 4, the OG Chaos, the game that like people
Okay.
always said, go back and play this if you ever want chaos. I jumped in Shanghai, China, the big building that drops down if you blow it up with the
Okay.
pillars. I get
Yeah,
into it,
yeah.
me and my friend Michael, we're playing it. I look up the scoreboard, and I'm like 0-21, and then I was like, what's going on? I haven't gotten a kill yet. And I was like, oh, how is this dude 117-3? And so then I get killed by him, and I start watching his gameplay. I was like, oh, he's cheating. Oh, yeah, this game's really old. I forgot. There's a lot of hackers. So I get out of that game. And I'm like, yeah, this just is terrible, like it's a terrible spot. And I'm wrapping up right now. So me and Michael playing NBA 2K22. We do that regularly. We do it every night. I did download Battlefield 5, which is one of the newer Battlefields. That is fun. I forgot Battlefield 5. It's based on World War II. It's actually still in a good spot. Like over 10,000 players still playing it. I've been playing that mindlessly. But today, I started a game today that has, for the first time in a long time, has me itching to go home and play it again. And I found it due to PlayStation Plus. It was newly added, and it was called Deliver Us the Moon. That was the game.
Where's the moon?
Deliver Us the Moon. And apparently, didn't know this till after I started playing it. It has a 9.5 out of 10 on Steam. Very, very popular game. The concept's really simple. Earth wanted to connect to the moon to get an infinite power source chain created. They do it, and one day it just magically stops. And because the chain got broken, they couldn't get anyone up there because they lost a source of power. So now the Earth is dying, and they don't know what happened on the moon. So they said, well, we're just screwed. And so the small team said, no, we're not. We're going to figure it out. And then 5 years later, they send a guy up there, and his job is to deliver us the moon. And it's a
nice.
first and third person experience. It switches between the two. I am about 2 hours in roughly, and I'm sitting there like, I want to go back and play this.
Wow.
Nice.
Visually, it is outstanding. I'm playing it on the PlayStation 5 via the PS5 version. The atmosphere is
So did
great.
you just buy a PS5 or you bought it for somebody else or what?
I
were
bought
you
it for someone else.
Okay. I was about to say, I was like, I thought you
No,
had one.
I
but
had
okay.
one. So I'm playing it, and I'm just like, wow. Like, I haven't had a game that got me like this in a minute. Like, you have me. Like, I am
Nice.
in. Like, and it was added via PlayStation Plus for free.
Well, I was
That's
about to say,
cool.
what was the last game that really gripped you? You couldn't stop like playing it. I'm trying to think what the last.
I'm going to throw out Elden Ring because it's like,
Elden Ring did it
Elden
for a
Ring,
while.
yeah,
Elden
that's
Ring.
Elden Ring, yeah. Because that
Yeah.
was one I was like, I need to get back on. I know where to go and stuff. I think before that, it might have been not Breath of the Wild.
Which one came out
Final
first?
Fantasy VII Remake. I think that one I couldn't put
Uh,
down at all.
Near Replicant.
Okay, yeah.
I
remember
played
you-
the absolute. It was the first game I platinum. I played the absolute crap out of it. that would probably be it.
Yeah.
I would say my ranking would be Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4
Yeah.
because I 100%ed that, and then Last of Us Part 2.
Mm.
That one really had me sitting there in my seat for a while.
Last of Us 2, in terms of new games, non-remakes, I played that in like 5 days. I'm talking blew
like
through it.
if I had free time, I was like, I'm gonna go play this.
Yeah.
Like I didn't prioritize anything else
Yeah, I
other than
played
that
it
game.
like
Even if I had
6
mixed
hours
opinions, I
max.
did want to like see it through. Like, what was the
Yeah.
next thing?
So, but that's why I feel about this game right now, and that's why I was like, I need to go play this because
Yeah.
I haven't had that in a while. I haven't had that little nudge in my butt to go do something like
Yeah.
and play a game. So it's nice to be able to sit there and say, I look forward to this, which I haven't had in a hot minute. And so I will say after 2 hours, I would recommend it's free. Download it on the PlayStation. You guys should check it out. It's just an adventure, linear story game.
Yeah.
That's all it is. No combat, nothing.
The game
That's cool.
I'm going to check that out.
I do want to check that out.
The game I've been getting the itch to go back and finish is Returnal. I don't know why. I've just been thinking about it lately and just wanting to go back and finish that game. So
Setting up my stuff in the basement, I got all the action figures from Metal Gear Solid 5, and I was holding the man on fire, and I was like, God, the freaking world in this game with that and the freaking child praying the mantis or whatever, and I was like, that one is always one I think about, but it's like I also think about the time sink that it is. Like I'll get sucked in for hours and hours and hours on the game. So, but that's one that hooked me. But anything else game wise? I think we covered the game world.
I think I covered all the ones I've been looking at.
no, I have, believe it or not, a lot more to say about TV and movies. Which
Really?
never happened before.
Never. But you are now a TV man.
So, how do you want to do this? Do you have a bunch of movies to talk about like you normally do?
I know what I'm talking about. But
I
yeah,
have to
I only
pull up
have
my
like
list.
a couple. That's it.
we'll give the stage to you. Just like you had movies a couple podcasts
I
ago, and you
did.
went on and on.
I did talk a lot about a lot of movies.
I think we
watched.
all come back around, and I think that's good. Sometimes I'm not watching any TV shows and movies. Sometimes I'm playing a ton of games, and
I can be real quick. I only watched
Vice
a
versa.
couple while he's getting his up. That way he have more time.
I did play another game.
Do I want to?
what was the game?
Do you want to say it?
It was 30 minutes long. It's called
Oh, just-
Dagon.
You can talk about it in 2 minutes and
It
tell
was
us
called
everything.
Dagon. It's on Steam. It's a VR game. Finally played a VR.
You played a VR. You
I
hooked
played
up
it-
your
I
VR
hooked
and
up
played a
my
VR.
and I played a VR. game.
Wow.
And it is basically Dagon is a short story by H.P. Lovecraft, and basically this team made like a VR. It's like a visual novel, but like not like a anime visual novel. It's like they read the short story,
Okay.
and then they recreate the scenes, and you're in them in first
Oh,
that's
That
cool.
is cool.
person. Yeah, and
That kind of
was-
reminds
it was
me
cool.
of that one indie game, the something Obra.
Oberdin.
Oberden, yeah.
Yeah.
Den of the or Oberden. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
Return of the Oberdin.
Yes,
Which I
Return of the
haven't- I haven't
Oberden.
played yet,
But that they had a narration and kind of sell
That's
like you're in a.
What was
Yeah.
it like doing it in VR?
it was really cool because like Zach, our buddy Zach.
I was about to
Campbell,
say if Zach told you about it because
he's
the
all into
Lovecraft.
Lovecraft.
Anything
and-
Lovecraft, this
and,
guy does.
You know, he was like, "Is it worth playing?" And I was like, "Non VR, no, because it's just like you can't even walk. Like you're just standing and you can look around and you're in this environment.
Yeah.
And it's about a guy that's lost at sea and he's lost for days and he falls asleep, wakes up, and he's basically in like a Leviathan kind of hellscape. And so, like, but in first person, it kind of brings the story to life in a different way. I've
Yeah.
read the short story before and I thought it was cool. And I was like, you know, this is kind of an untapped genre of like short stories or even novels you can experience in first person.
Yeah.
You know, and just have the narration reading the story and then you're there.
That
So,
is cool.
I thought it was cool.
That's really awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were able to do that.
But as far as movies and TV, I cut you off, Jacob.
No, you're fine. Real quick, I got on TikTok. I don't know if you guys ever see the TikToks where they show you a dude chopping a pineapple, but on the top of the screen is like a video clip from a movie or
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Can we talk about the phenomenon for a second?
yes, go ahead.
Are we so dopamine deprived that we need to like see a podcast and see somebody playing like a Minecraft jumping thing? It's that too. It's Minecraft.
It's either that or Reddit. It's Reddit forums, but read out loud.
Yes, and it's Minecraft jumping in the
Yep.
background, or it's Grand Theft Auto clips where they're down that freaking mountain and they're
Yep.
jumping the ramp.
Yep.
But then somebody did something really funny. They they stitched together like, what are we doing here? And it was the Minecraft thing, it was a podcast, and above that was another game. And it
Yeah.
was 3 different things going on. And the person stitched it, and it cut to them with keys, and they went like a baby, like here, like I'm stimulating you. I'm stimulating
our
you.
brains
I was like, we are
are
breaking ourselves
screwed.
because I am addicted to TikTok.
Yeah,
so
the Reddit ones. The Reddit ones like, my wife said this, and you won't believe my
Yeah.
response. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just like,
yeah, we're
wow.
Yeah, it is
You know,
it's an issue.
So it sparked from this because I got the one where Walt from Breaking Bad throws the pizza on the roof.
yeah.
And I watched it. And I was like, "Ha!" He threw a pizza.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to watch Breaking Bad again. So I started watching Breaking Bad. I'm on season 3. I'm speed running Breaking Bad because now I'm like, I need to watch Better Call Saul.
Yes,
I haven't
you do.
seen that yet.
Oh, I guess I can talk about that. I forgot too.
So I'm gonna watch
finished up.
that after I finish Breaking Bad real quick.
Yeah.
I'll probably have that finished by like I'm speed running. Like I'm skipping over
Yeah,
parts.
I think you'll like.
But
I think anybody like Breaking Bad will definitely like.
yeah, so I'm gonna watch Better Call Saul.
Really?
But I'm also wrapping up Hard Knocks, the Detroit Lions addiction. Have you seen that
I
yet?
watched the first episode. It was fine to me. I heard it got better.
Yeah, I mean, Hard Knocks is always a little rough because like it's stories about people that you might not even see on the field. But again, I like it from the aspect of seeing how coaches interact with their players. Dan Campbell is a different breed of a coach. I will say this: I don't feel like I've watched a lot of Hard Knocks this past couple of months. I have not seen a coach like Dan Campbell interact like with his players like he does.
Yeah.
Now whether that translates to wins,
I like Dan Campbell a lot.
Yeah.
Now, Hard Knocks for people at home is where they follow
Yes.
a team
Yeah.
around one. Like every season is a different team. right?
correct.
So
I
they do.
just the only
They'll
thing I
follow
was
a football team around.
the only thing I was gonna say is, and the first time I felt this was the year that it was LA and LA, like 2
Yeah.
years ago. I feel like Hard Knocks is a little bit more cleaned up and like not that
Produced?
they don't cuss, yeah, but like I feel like back in the day, like there was a little bit more of like
Child, please.
yeah,
It's like
there was
Kiss the
just
Baby Child,
more,
Please.
Whether it's goofiness or there was more
You
like
know,
you would watch and you'd be like, this guy's an idiot. Like they
Yeah.
would show a coach being an idiot.
I think
and then
that
they
was
would
the
go
era.
viral.
Yeah.
They hide that
now,
stuff now.
yeah, now it's squeaky clean.
Yeah.
Like
Now, and,
this is
and
this
what
coach,
sucks
and
is
he
that
played.
is the
This-
best behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah.
which is sad
The-
to hear that they did that because, or if that
the NFL
happens.
got more involved.
the
That's what
NFL is
happened.
definitely
Yeah.
more involved, and so like like that Metallica documentary, some kind of monster.
Yes.
there would be parts in Hard Knocks
And you're
that were
like,
like
that
that in
person's idiot,
football
yeah.
of like, this guy doesn't know how to coach.
Yeah.
And like they would sit and then he'd be in his office like working and like you'd be like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
That happened to Rex Ryan
Yeah.
when he was with the Jets after they went to the AFC Championship.
And I think what happened was these teams, like nobody wanted to get picked for Hard Knocks because it's like the Hugh
get to-
Jackson one
it'll
is the
air
last
out.
one. 'Cause
Hilarious.
Hugh Jackson, I'm gonna say, if you're gonna go watch one, go back and watch the one with the Browns from 3 years ago.
Okay.
Because it's insanity. And like they went 0-16 and he's like jumping in a lake and like
He's like, we're going to be better. We're going to win more
and
games
it's-
this year.
Yeah, and they don't and like it's just
Yeah,
and
I am
now
interested in that
it's
because I
squeaky
love that.
clean.
I love that stuff of like you get to see the pros and the
Yeah.
very bad cons of.
Yeah.
like,
I will
what-
say, on
people.
going off the tag, like one of my favorite Hard Knocks moments is Shannon Sharp when they were making fun of him after he got locked out of his hotel room. I don't know if you've seen that. When he played for the Ravens.
oh yeah.
So what happened was Shannon Sharp was going in. It was like one of his final years. He dropped his stuff off, and one of the people down the hall yelled for him. And he walked out, and one of the players ran in there, shut the door, locked it, and then jumped off the balcony. So he got locked out of his hotel room, and it was like 2 a.m. So like
sucks.
they just got in. So he's sitting there, and the film crew's watching him sitting against the door like this, and he's just like. So the next day during practice, he walks in. A bunch of players are sitting like this, like just
Oh my
chilling like
God.
this, and so they start making fun of him, and he gets ticked because he's already mad. He's like, I got locked
Yeah.
out of my room. Now you're all making fun of me. I'm Shannon Sharp. Do you know who I am? You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
pull that card. It's hilarious. It's
That's
one of my
really
favorite
funny.
moments.
That's great. So yeah, so you're liking Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
The first episode wasn't bad. It left me with that feeling of like, man, I feel like when I was younger, these were a little different.
Yeah, I just got the football itch. So like right now, any type of football content will really just kind of get to my heart a little bit more than normal.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for the season to start, man. I got that feeling.
The other thing I would say is Dan Campbell. I feel like makes it worth watching because he
Correct.
is so crazy. I cannot name a single person on that team,
Really?
player-wise. No. I can name them. That is interesting to me. None of those players are interesting to me. None of them.
I guess I can understand where you're coming from. I think the only one I'm interested in is Jared Goff, just because Jared Goff's on his final year of his contract.
Do they focus on him later?
They have his past
they
episode. They were
did.
just like, "What's going through your mind?" Because like his process has been like, you're on a short leash, and so he's like, "Yeah, I can't suck." Like,
Yeah, okay.
he's like, "I just know."
Interesting.
So you'll get a little bit of it, but it's not like what you would expect.
Yeah.
You know.
I
So.
remember when the Bengals were on there, they woke this dude up out of his sleep at 3 a.m. and called him outside and said, "We're cutting you."
Yeah.
And he starts crying, and
Oh
like
my
they're
gosh.
filming it like up in his
I didn't
face.
know this, but
It
I guess the
was
Bengals had a
crazy.
guy, and he was on both Hard Knocks, known as the guy that if you see him, you're getting cut.
Jim Lippin.
So he's a big short little
He's
round
a
dude.
weird looking dude.
And he's
yeah.
standing there. He's like, "We got to talk to you." And the best part was there was a group of guys walking, and they're all just like staring at him. And he stops the one dude on the left hand side, and the other guys walk in. And they're like, and they're like this.
Yeah, I remember
Because
that.
they squeak through him, and the other
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
get
Well,
cut.
the Bengals used to be run so different than they
Yeah.
are now. But like, there's the episode in there where Mike Brown, the owner's like, there's this guy that plays offensive tackle or defensive tackle or whatever. He plays on offense line, let's call it. And he's just like, what if we moved him to defensive end? And like all that you can see, all the owner says that you can see all the coaches like, this is the worst idea I've ever heard. But nobody wants to tell him no, and you can see them all
Yeah.
get so like seeing people in
So
those
they're out in
pressure
practice working him at the
situations.
end. Then
Yeah, and then they cut to him, and he's out there working on it. It's like nobody.
he's
wants
like,
to
"Yeah,
tell
I'm
him
just
no.
trying to make the roster. Do whatever I can to get out here, get this wreck." You know, I mean, hey, dude, it's.
Yes.
And you know what's cool?
Speaking of all this, before I forget, I did watch something football related as well.
Oh, really?
There was something on Netflix, and it was I forgot the name of it.
Anti-Teo.
Manti Te'o.
You watched it?
And I watched that.
That poor soul, man.
And yeah, so I didn't even know about this because I'm just not interested in sports. It kind of was familiar that this happened, but
he started catfishing.
yeah. The story was that this college player played for Notre Dame. Notre Dame. His grandma was really sick and she dies, and he had a girlfriend that he talked about all the time. He had this girlfriend, blah blah, and then the news media or whatever else, he has his girlfriend and whatever mentions her. Grandma dies the next, or I think the same night or the same
watch it.
or the next day, I think it was, or the same night. I can't. It was the next day, I think. His girlfriend dies.
Yes.
Well, somebody sends a tip in or whatever, this news thing. It's a whole story. I won't spoil all of it. But basically, he was catfish. This was not a real girlfriend. And he didn't even know the term catfish. This was early on to where, like, he just was not...
It wasn't a popular thing.
Yeah,
yet.
it wasn't mainstream yet. That catfish... I think when that catfish movie came out, it did mainstream it. But that catfish documentary came out in 2009, 2010 or something. So it was very new and it was very fresh when this was all going on. But so it was crazy to see. I felt really bad for the guy, and it was just a weird situation. And they said that it was a hoax, that it was like, you set this up to make people so you can get
that was the issue.
that
'Cause
trophy or whatever.
The
He
end
made
of,
it seem
the
like
end of his it was the end of his year. He was going to declare for the draft. He started playing lights out. He's having to dedicate the rest of the season to this.
Yeah.
And then his draft stock was going up. And then like a couple months later, right before like the draft and stuff was coming out, they found out like, oh, your girlfriend wasn't real. Well, did your grandma really die? And so they start.
Yeah,
the
that
media then
sucks.
begins to start poking, and he tells this side of the story about what that did to him.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting
Yeah, I
watch.
feel really bad for the guy, and
Dude, feel
and
awful.
even the person on the other end of the catfishing
Dude,
thing, she's actually like actively like not. She up front is like, hey, I screwed up. I was like like I've never felt worse in my
Still a
life.
douchebag.
I was a dirtbag for all this. But like the stuff she had to endure with her family, and like I think they both grew up Mormon. Like both was it Mai Tai or
Monte.
Not the-
Manti-Teo.
Manti
Or
Tai. I
Monte
keep saying Mai
whatever,
Tai.
Monte,
Sorry.
You might have had a Mai Tai.
Yeah, after
I
all.
think he was on the Saints. His last team was the Saints, right?
Man, that's a blur to me. I remember. What's crazy is, I remember hearing he was catfish, but I was always left with the impression that he kind of faked stuff. So like that ended up not being true.
No,
Like,
it wasn't.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong. He
But-
just was simple, basically.
But yeah,
Imagine
they-
being on that team football. You know how football players are.
Oh,
Imagine
my.
being in like your rookie hazing.
Oh, dude.
You know what I'd do?
It
Oh
was
my
I would-
gosh.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
if it had
I
to be
mean,
awful.
even in the mainstream news that they were showing like all like the comic strips that came out in the newspaper and all this, like, you know what I mean? Like,
He's a kid.
yeah.
He's like 20, 21 years old.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Good watch though. I would recommend that.
Yeah.
Travis, what you got on tap?
Well, TV show wise, I finished Stranger Things. It was
Yay!
very good. I can't remember if I talked about that last
I think
time.
you did.
Yeah, that show rocks. I
Yeah.
waited too long to watch it. I think go check out my thoughts. I think I talked
Yeah,
about it.
I
most of the
believe-
last
I think you-
podcast. And then Zach and I. Well, hold on. I'm watching a couple animes.
What are you watching?
Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They're just long. I'm
Dude,
not done with it.
mother pearl. I have to watch JoJo. I had
You should.
students making fun of me
Dude.
the other week. They're like, Jacob, you love Dragon Ball Z and you're
Yeah,
not watching
I've been-
JoJo? You said the same
Yeah, if you
thing.
really
Why
like
are
Dragon
you-
Ball,
Why
then
do
you need to
listen
watch that.
12-year-olds.
No, it's not that. Here's what happens. I get bored and I watch cooking shows on YouTube and I forget that I can watch other stuff.
You would blow through JoJo's and you would love it.
Yeah.
I know, dude. I know.
It's your kind of show. But apart from that, the one real show that I'm watching right now is The Witcher. We're watching season 2, about halfway through that, and it's more Witcher. It's good. It's making me want to go read those books. I think.
Yeah.
they're good, and yeah. And then I realized, talking to my brother, I never played the expansions, and I was looking into them, and they're like it's like another Witcher game.
It's 40 hours long. The
Yeah.
DLC, the small
So-
DLC thing came out as another game, basically.
So like I'm kind of debating, do I maybe want to start that up?
I thought
this
they were
fall?
really, really good, but they are a time sink. They're all really good. All the DLC was
So-
really fun, but
Is that all the TV? Or did you guys have another TV? Or we could go into movies?
I was gonna say Better Call Saul did wrap up. I won't spoil anything. You're about to watch it, but fantastic finale. Very freaking good. The character stuff that they do in that show, without spoiling anything again, they do commentate stuff with Breaking Bad, and they kind of bring it into this really well.
Good.
But very funny show at times, very like heartbreaking show at times. Incredible cinematography, incredible. Just will blow you away. And I mean, that's how Breaking Bad was. Like, there's like you can pick out shots of that show, and same with Better Call Saul. But really enjoyed it. Highly recommend that to anybody that watched Breaking Bad. I saw some crazy takes of like, oh, you don't even need to watch Breaking Bad. You appreciate and take stuff as this goes on with what happened with Breaking Bad.
I would understand.
You
that.
know, so I would recommend watching Breaking Bad first, but really good. That was really awesome.
There is one other TV show. The Rehearsal.
Yes.
Wrapped up. We wrapped up The Rehearsal.
Wrapped up The Rehearsal.
Nathan Fielder's new show. I feel like we are on the same page about this show.
Yeah, this show opens with just an incredible concept of, well, the premise of the show starts of this premise of, instead of going into a social situation that you're nervous about, prepare to an ungodly umpteenth extreme degree, which becomes very freaking funny. I think it's a commentary, at least at that part of the show. It changes as the show goes on, I think, to a point. But it's very funny because as someone who has, in the past, struggled with social anxiety stuff, it makes fun of that in a way that's helpful. Like, it's like, what are you so afraid of? Or, like, what are you, like... It becomes funny to prepare that much.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are you so afraid of? And the people's problems, you know, seem little to you, but you have also those things in your life that you like, why haven't you approached this person about this thing? Or why haven't you asked that person out? Or why haven't you like just get it over with or just go through with it?
Gotcha.
So this show is it's like half very funny and half like, oh, like this is really funny that's digging into those things.
Interesting
And
commentary.
Yes.
That has truth to it.
the show transforms where they rehearse to an more extreme degree. This woman wants to like get married and have a family and raise a kid, but she wants to prepare first. Like she's not sure if she'll Like she wants to make sure it's really right for her, all this stuff. So Nathan and this woman agree to get this house and actually go through the process of role playing, being a husband and wife
with a kid.
But
What, in the science project?
But the kid, to speed up the process, on a weekly basis, they replace it with a year older kid. And then they have mirrors throughout the house that age them. As they look in the mirror, they are becoming older in the mirror.
And then, like, because of child acting laws,
they have to switch the kids
4-hour shifts. So every 4 hours, the actor playing the kid changes.
But it's the same age of kid.
That's a comedy act.
So
Dude,
the
it's
show is
crazy.
extremely funny in these like hyper minute things that like it spirals in itself, and you are by the end of it you're lost of like how many steps they have to go to. They rebuild a Cane's restaurant one for one inside of a studio for no real reason. They could have just actually probably used a Cane's.
Could have went to Cane's.
So that level of extreme going to that level is funny throughout the show. I will say, and I think we talked about this a little bit on our own, I think it kind of gets a little off the rails and on Nathan's side and his story of like, you know, where am I lost in this? And I'm really, I don't know. Like, I feel like it kind of loses its vision a little bit at the last half of that show. But I still enjoyed it. I still recommend it, and I think that I wish it would have been more of what that opening was. That's what I thought it was going to be.
That pilot, and having watched his previous show, Nathan, for you, that was an episodic. Every episode, a new business.
A new thing.
Yeah.
That pilot made you think, oh, every episode is going to be a new rehearsal with a new person.
Yeah.
Very quickly, you realize, not really. They really only do like one more. It's kind of like
they do one.
It's
more
kind of
different
like maybe Metal Gear Solid 5 is a better example. But like, what's a game that like it's the Metal Gear Solid 2.
Okay.
There's the tanker mission.
Yeah.
And you're like, this tanker mission.
That's really what it was.
And then you go
You're
to the
riding
big
for the
shell.
rest
And then
of
you
it.
go to the big shell, and it's like, oh well,
My
now
expectation
it's
is not
and,
this.
Well, this is interesting, and this is interesting, and now we're going up our own ass.
It is
here
the
a
Metal
little
Gear
bit.
Solid 2.
It's I think,
it really
and
is.
in that way, I almost think it's going to age really well.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a single part
I
of
didn't
this
hate
show
any of it.
that's
It just-
bad.
yeah.
And it always makes you go, where are we going with
I think
this?
it just
But-
spins its wheels, especially the last 2 or 3 episodes. It's kind of spins its wheels a little bit, and it's like, okay, we've
he
been
gets
here a
into
little
the
bit.
method. Like it becomes not about the rehearsals, but how hard it is to make the rehearsals.
Yes.
How hard it is to find the actors, and then how hard you can try to make the actors prepare.
Yes.
And then how hard you can throw
And that
yourself
is funny
into
at
it.
moments, but it starts to spin its wheels a little bit. And when it got to the end, I was like, we could have, kind of, I don't know, like what I was wanting, or maybe like you said, it might age a little bit better as we go into season 2, which they have.
Yeah,
signed
they
off
approved
on.
season 2 of this. HBO did,
But canceled
while they
everything else.
Canceled literally everything else they've ever made.
Everything else they ever made is
Like we give up.
gone.
But they love the idea of recreating a Cane's for no reason.
Yeah, they spent that money, and they're like, that's fine. But
So, yeah,
I really enjoyed
Rehearsal.
it. It was really fun. But yeah, Rehearsal. Did you have another one? Your TV?
No
show?
more TV shows.
No more TV.
Movies though.
Westworld wrapped up. Westworld season 4. I can definitively say this is my current ranking of that show. Season 1 still my favorite. Season 2 I think goes into Lost territory, is also right up there with season 1. It's really hard between those, almost interchangeable. After that is season 4. I really had a fun time in season 3 at the very end. I didn't hate that season, but I also would, if someone says I did not like the season at all, I would go, yeah. But season 4 that just ended really goes into, it kind of reminds me of season 2 of going into wacky territory with this AI and these robot stuff. It like really goes into deep end stuff, and some parts were kind of like meh of it or whatever. But what they were doing and the story they were telling, I was engaged. Me and my wife were engaged the whole time, and we're like, oh yeah, we want to see what keeps going and stuff.
Is
So
that the ending of the show?
they said they have 5 seasons and that's it they wanted to do, but they have not been renewed yet. It has not been renewed yet. So that could honestly
Is that an HBO?
this could have
you're not getting it.
this could have been the ending of Westworld. But they did say they were like, hey, we already have we know how to wrap this up and stuff. So maybe they'll throw him a bone and they'll just let him finish it. But we'll see. This honestly could have ended. Funny enough, this past thing they could actually have done away with it. But what they were setting up would be cool to see because you can see what they're trying to do now. But with season 5, so. Recommended, but season 3, just push through it, I guess.
Well, is that it for TV?
That's it for TV.
So I've watched a few movies, just a few, and I think you have some too, right?
Yeah.
So HBO, the streaming service sucks right now, but they do have plenty of stuff on there that I've been interested in, which is the animated Batman things.
Oh,
Animated Batman, I think, is my favorite Batman.
Yeah, the movies are on there. Is that,
so
you've
they
just
have
been watching
movies on there, and I've watched Under the Red Hood, and I really like the Robins. I feel like each Robin has a very cool storyline, from Dick Grayson to Jason Todd to Drake, all the way where I'm like, okay, Damian Wayne, the new Robin. What?
Well, I'm just reminded. Can I tell a quick little story?
Yeah, go
it's
for it.
related to Batman and
Yeah.
animated Batman movies. I'm always shocked how violent some of those movies are. And when I was in, I don't know, I was probably 5th grade, and one of my older my cousins, 3rd and 4th grade, we had Christmas at my grandma's or my uncle's, and somebody got me and my brother an animated Batman movie.
And it was
So
very
we
violent.
pop this thing in, and it's me and all my little cousins, and we're watching in the living room. And the movie opens with the Joker, and he's got Robin tied up in a shed, and he beats him to death with a crowbar. That is the opening. He beats and blood.
Sick, nasty, dude.
He beats him to death, and he dies. And then he beats him to death, and then they show his grave. And my uncle just comes up and says, "Okay, that was fun," and he turns it off.
Yeah,
And
that's the best part.
That has always stuck with me. Of
Alright.
man, there's more to this than I
Yeah.
ever knew.
Well, 'cause, if you watch the '90s Batman series, you'll see him go through a couple Robins. You'll see him go through Dick Grayson, and he grows up, and then Dick Grayson punches Batman and leaves and becomes Nightwing. And then you see him get a second Robin, which is Jason Todd. And that's where they cut off. Jason Todd is one of the coolest Robins, in my opinion, because the dude is so jacked up. And the entire time he's been fighting with Batman, all he wants to do. So I watched Under the Red Hood, what ends up happening is he gets beat with a crowbar. Batman's given a choice to either go save someone from a bomb or go
That was
save
it?
Jason Todd. He saves the other person, and then he's sprinting to go save Jason Todd. Doesn't make it in time. The shed explodes, killing Jason Todd.
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
Joker kills him.
Okay.
That's where you missed out on.
Okay, that's probably what I was watching then.
Yeah. So he becomes the Red Hood, though, through some crazy stuff.
I think they thought this was like a Santa Claus movie.
Well, it is-
Well, when you see
it is
Batman,
Christmas
at that
time.
time. It was
It's
animated.
It's Christmas
I'm
time,
pretty
so
sure
he's
they
not
thought
wrong.
This is like a Christmas special.
Yeah.
I skipped over a couple of Robins because I got really into this Damian Wayne story. Damian Wayne is
I don't even know who
Batman's.
Damian Wayne is.
It's Batman's son that Talia al Ghul
okay.
gets out of him by drugging him and then having her way with him. So Talia
wow.
Ghul,
I need to watch more of these. Batman.
Yeah.
Talia al
Where's
Ghul
this at?
basically quote unquote
Take
rapes
notes.
Batman.
Oh my
Same place as
gosh.
Fateful
Yeah,
Findings.
and then
Yeah,
has a
same.
child. And the whole purpose is that Batman won't come work with her, the League of Assassins, so she'll get the next best thing, which is a seed, and then basically raises him up. So then the League's attacked, and she says Damian can't stay here. They're after Damian. I'm sending him to Batman. And Batman finds out he has a son. He's like, well, if you're like me, I guess I'll just make you Robin. And that's basically where it starts off. So he makes him Robin, and they make 3 movies out of it, and they're all great. They were all just phenomenal. They're all about Batman and Damian and their very jacked up relationship because Damian's like a trained killer and Batman's like, we don't kill. And
Oh,
so
this sounds awesome.
they go. So there's 3 of them. There's a Son of Batman, Batman versus Robin, and Batman Bad Blood. And all 3 of them phenomenal. And then the 4th one that comes out is Batman sends him off to the Teen Titans, and he goes
These
to
are
Teen
kinda
Titans, and that's
cool
where the
sounding.
Teen Titans movies come from. So
I think I've only seen
been-
one of these, and I don't know which one it was.
Yeah, I've been watching
Because
them all.
it was a violent one. But I can't remember.
And I'll tell you right now, Damian Wayne is by far my favorite Batman. And there's some really cool stuff I didn't even know they did. And there's not in the movies, but Damian kills Nightwing, and Batman gets ticked at him, and that's where one of the current arcs are right now.
Wow.
Damien, they fight, and Damien throws a rod and hits Nightwing in the head and kills him on accident.
Everybody's trying to kill him.
DC's pretty jacked up.
Yeah.
But that's where I've been watching. So you guys are into Batman animated right there. That's where I recommend
I
you.
may check some of those out.
Yeah.
I feel like, we had this conversation a little bit ago about Spider-Man and stuff. And I loved Spider-Man and Batman equally as a kid, but as I grew older, Batman I still loved, and Spider-Man I've kind of like, I still will check in on stuff, but like Batman I feel like grew up with me, especially like with this stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're Spider-Man and he's like just snorting
He's-
drugs or something. Like
they're
I want
still
some,
in the kids' world, man.
yeah, I want him to like get freak nasty.
For getting nasty with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
I want to see Spider-Man's
I don't think you make a lot of TV shows out of that stuff anymore.
spider leg.
What'd you say?
I don't think you get a lot of TV shows out of like Spider-Man and stuff like that anymore, unless it's like Disney.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, I want him to go nuts.
Marvel is all in on the clean.
The movie clean kind of.
Yeah, I want him
DC,
to-
they have nothing to lose. What's really funny is
That's
DC's for
true.
the streets.
Well,
man.
they made a.
They're watching Ezra and taking notes for the next Batman.
So I'm watching these Damian
Joker.
Wayne stuff because they made a new show called Harley Quinn Adventures, which is the story behind Harley Quinn and her relationship with Poison Ivy. But they throw Batman and Damian Wayne in there, and they merge the two
Wayne.
together.
This is the first I'm hearing about Damian
And
Wayne.
it is I'm telling you, Damian. Basically, at one point in the movie, I knew I was laughing because he popped up on a video call and Batman was driving. He's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "None of your business." He's like, "I know where you're going. You're going to go date one of those like villain girls." And he was like, "So?" He's like, "Did you bring a condom?" And then he hung up on him. And I was like, I'm laughing because I'm like, this like 11-year-old kid is just like, he is so to the point. And I'm
oh
like,
my god,
this is hilarious. I'm like, I love this. So. Yeah, I really recommend to watch those 3 movies.
That's
if you're
cool.
A fan of Batman.
I'm gonna have to look these up. Okay, you got me intrigued. Here.
yeah, I'm definitely intrigued.
It's good. It's really good.
Well, you did a Hankathon.
The Hankathon's been on a long pause.
So I've started. I don't know what I'll call it, but it's gonna be long.
Okay, so
But
the Hankathon
it's-
pause for you to come up. What are you doing?
My wife and I are watching through the top 100 IMDb movies.
IMD-athon.
IMD-athon.
What number are you on?
We're on the 4th movie.
Ooh, 96.
And the way you're doing is interesting. You're just doing a random number generator, and you're just
for
picking
my
from that.
birthday, my wife got me a really cool poster, and it's like all these posters of the movies 1 through 100, and then they're like black and white, and then you scratch off with a penny, and it becomes the color version of the poster when you watch them. And then we use a random number generator to pick the movies. So these are random, obviously, because they are not connected in any way. But the movies we watched. So the first one we watched was Inglorious Bastards.
Wow, that must have been high on the list.
This
Isn't
is
it?
a random.
I know. Oh, I thought like, okay, never mind.
It wasn't number 1.
Okay.
It was just like it was like in the 80s.
Okay, I understand.
But Tarantino movie. I watched through all of Tarantino movies back when I was in college, and I remember liking Inglorious Bastards. It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't my least favorite of his. I kind of feel the same now. It's beautifully shot. Have you seen Inglorious Bastards?
Yeah, it might be my least favorite. I didn't hate it, but
Yeah.
it might be towards the bottom.
And
for
a lot
me.
of people describe it as like his best movie. I
Yeah.
feel like it was his version 1.0 of what he does now. Because like his first era was all these like crime thrillers, like Jackie
Yeah.
Brown and Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. And then I felt like he did Kill Bill, which was kind of like a one-off thing, which was a revenge movie. But then I felt like he was like, let's take the Kill Bill formula of getting revenge, but let's do it in historical settings.
Yeah.
So let's get revenge on the Nazis. Let's get revenge on the
Yeah.
slave guys. Let's get revenge on Charles Manson.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's his 1.0 of that model, and it shows.
Yeah.
None of the characters are like, man, I loved that character. I
Yeah.
loved that performance. Brad Pitt, I feel like, is just fine. His whole little Inglorious Bastards gang, they're fine. They're not bad. They're just fine. It's like Ryan from The Office. It's like one of the guys.
Yeah.
And like Eli Roth. It's just like not the best
yeah.
performances. Michael Fassbender is really good as like a British agent for a little bit. It's got that classic unpredictable Tarantino style and great dialogue and really well shot. And I like how he worked in movies into it because
Yeah, I remember
it's
that.
all about
Well, the thing is about
Nazis
them
are making
taking it in the
these
movie.
movies,
He's
and they're
making a
doing
movie, yeah.
a premiere of this big Nazi movie, and that's where they're trying to do this. So, you know, it's a good movie. It definitely is deserving, I think, of being like a top 100 film. I'm not questioning that, but sits in the middle of the pack for me.
Yeah.
Tarantino.
Have you seen Hateful Eight?
That's his only movie I've never seen.
I really loved Hateful Eight because it's a very contained. You were talking about these revenge stuff, and this one is like they're stuck in a cabin.
I forgot
all these
that
people stuck in a
movie
cabin.
existed until we were going through all of his movies. I've seen them all, and I was like, I never saw that. So
Yeah.
I need to see Hateful Eight. Second movie we watched is a movie from the 50s called Singin In The Rain.
Yeah.
I'm singing in the rain.
That's a Glee song.
Just
Singing in the rain.
It's like a musical movie. I don't know if it was a musical.
It's a musical, and then it kind of goes off the rails at the end.
Yeah, it's just about this guy, and he's got this best friend that's kind of like his little sidekick, and this girl that he's in all these movies with. And it's like in the era from when everything was silent films, but then they invent the first movie that's going to have sound. And there's a lot of fun scenes of like they're trying to figure out how to adapt to this new world where there's movies with sound. There's all these funny. It reminds me of like us trying to figure out how to do things on set and like here's a microphone. Okay, you need to face it. Oh crap. Okay, now we're gonna run it this way. And we're gonna do this. Just like just them figuring it out. You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's like you said. There's a point in the movie, and I immediately was like, uh-oh. Like, it's about these people making this play and figuring out how to make a movie with sound. And then there's a point where they're in this like little theater with these executives, and they're like, and here's our idea for the movie. And they point to the screen, and then for like 20 minutes, it's like no plot happens, and it's their movie within the movie, but it's all singing, and there's no... It loses its momentum for a little bit. So, and also, weird nitpick, the Singing in the Rain song is so disconnected from the rest of the plot of the movie that I don't really get it. I don't know.
It's like they just went with it.
Yeah, it was like, here's a really good song, Singing in the Rain. Let's make a movie that has nothing to do with
I bet
that.
I bet it had a different name, and they're like, you're going to have it Singing in the Rain.
You're going to be a star.
That song's going to be it.
There is a really funny scene, though, at the end where this girl, the whole point is her voice is not made for movies. Like, she is a good visually actor.
Got
She's
talkies.
pretty, but she talks like this. Like, she cannot talk or sing well. And they start...
Don't they get another girl to sing?
They get another girl to sing and do all her lines and dub it.
Yeah.
And then, like, she doesn't know that they're doing that. So then at the premiere, they're like, sing a song. And then they, like... have the girl stand backstage and she's singing, but she's in love with the main guy, and then he pulls the stage open and like they expose this lady as being a fraud or whatever. So there's some shenanigans going on and stuff, but it's fun. It's one of those, I think that it did some cool cinematography. It was very well orchestrated with all the people dancing and stuff, but sure, you can be on the top 100 list. I'm neutral. Whereas Inglorious, I'm like, yeah, that should be on there. This one, I'm like, as I watch more, it was good. I gave it like a 3.5. And then the last one was The Godfather, which
that's good.
Is good.
It's The Godfather.
There's nothing else to really say. I mean, rewatching it was fun. I think that's...
You Come to Me.
Yeah, it's just such a It's 2 hours and 55 minutes, and it still flies by because every scene is so immediate. You're so engaged. Love all the characters.
Check out The Offer now, and I talked about it on the podcast where they talk about the making of that film, which is crazy how involved the mafia was.
If you've never,
I cannot believe how involved they were.
If you've never seen The Godfather, please, God, watch that movie.
Yeah, just watch it. Make that your first thing.
Yeah. So, and then we're going to watch Godfather 2 next, and then we're going to roll again.
Nice.
Cool.
I'll tell you what, it's been a pretty successful month.
It has been.
It's crazy when you think about how we have advanced over the years. Yeah. I talked to my friend. You guys know Kenny. Everybody here knows Kenny. Yeah. I was like, we've been doing this for 5 years now.
Since 2017.
So we've committed.
And another phase of the podcast is coming to a close. We started your guys' apartment, and we were phase one, and we were putting our foot on a console.
Yeah.
And I was drinking Monsters.
You were drinking Monsters every
hair.
You had me above the air conditioning, and I was always cold in the house.
I had an iMac behind us playing random things.
Well, and I liked that. That was cool.
TV.
I would like to bring that back.
Honestly, I didn't see anybody doing that. Now I see more people doing that. I think people copied all of us.
Dude.
Honestly,
Ahead of the game
Hey, can I ask
there.
you a question? Where is that TV?
Oh, dude, it died.
Hey, I sold you that TV for like $50
I know you did.
back in like 2013,
did.
and you're telling me it went that. I'm impressed.
It lasted a long time, but it died.
Yeah, it died. Okay,
What going
that's
to?
fair. I was just wondering if you
Started
still had it
there,
somewhere.
went to my old house, and little small space there.
Yep.
Then we
did COVID.
COVID,
COVID
era. So
era.
we went everywhere. Like we went to
COVID era.
We've
With
on
some
green screen.
outside, some digital, Discord.
Yeah,
Had a
outside digital.
Pool pods every now and then.
Yeah.
Phase 3.
Phase 4 was here
Phase 4, we've been in my basement of my house.
Yep.
for a while now, and then Phase 5 ? You're gonna see that next time. Well, I've been talking about a basement and redoing a basement, so there's your hint.
There's
It's on the
your
roof. No. So
Maybe
Look
the
forward to that.
permanent home.
hopefully the permanent home. I don't want to move again. It has been a freaking process. When you see the new podcast set, I think you will get an idea of where my sanity has been for the past couple months. So
Maybe we'll do a room tour.
yeah, I definitely will do a new room tour. The last one was 3.5 hours, and it was in my small room.
Yeah.
I remember.
So this one's going to be very interesting when we see.
Maybe
the
you
new
should break it
place
in
set.
multiple parts.
You're gonna need
My
that
voice
guy.
hurt. My
No.
voice hurt by the last.
Zach,
I could barely talk.
Make a
My voice-
TikTok of a guy from GTA going down hills, but on the top it's your room
Oh,
Good idea.
that's what I'm gonna do.
You're gonna need that guy that gave the 4-hour tour of that giant house in California.
That was maybe. Yeah, that was a 4-hour tour, but mine was 3 hours, and I had a small room.
Yeah.
tour. Oh,
but
man.
so it's almost as long as that. But we'll see how long this the room tour is. But it will come at some point. Also coming to the channel, it's not been edited yet, but me and Brian, shouts out Brian at Review the World, went to a local mall, Cincinnati Mills. It had 3 different names: Forest Fair, Cincy Mills, and now it's Cincinnati Mall. But I got stuck on Cincy Mills, is
Yeah.
what it was for a long
It was
time.
always Forest Fair Mall for me.
Yeah. So Forest Fair when I was a little kid, and we talk about all of the names and memories and stuff, but we did a long kind of walkthrough. We walked through the mall. We, this is like a preview, we had to avoid security because security is notoriously very bad there. They will chase you down. They will hunt you down. There was a news story, which we talk about, where things got really fricked with a security guard. It made the news there.
Wow.
They
So
started carrying?
I brought a camera there, and we filmed some stories talking about. So he's Brian is a little bit older than me, so stuff that was kind of fuzzy on my end, he was able to kind of fill in
Nice.
some of that. And talk about stuff is like I didn't know what was going on because he was more of a teenager, like getting into preteen when I was a little kid there. So lots of cool stuff from that, and we just kind of talk about the memories of that mall. So look forward to that. That's coming. Been doing some action figure reviews. They've been coming out left and right. I've been losing money left and right, but that's coming. And then Hangouts are returning soon. Finally getting a new space set up. It just became so annoying, and then Pierce had some internet issues, but we will be coming back with a vengeance. It's going to be fun. But I think that's it.
Well, good
As-
news, guys.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Recess is over. Time to get back to class.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, class is beginning.
You're going to get detention. Go to class.
Oh, okay. Yep. I think it's time. I think this is over, guys.
Yep, it's
Let's
over.
get the HE double hockey sticks out of this place. Can we set fire to this place? Like to really? Would your wife mind that if we just?
we
Well,
don't.
this-
If you
We
just
can't
set
set
I
fire.
bought the house to have a place to do the podcast, so now that we're done,
Yeah.
with
Oh yeah, cool. Hey,
Yeah.
check out the video.
Yeah.
Detention though.
Okay. Yeah. Set this on fire while we're